Now we're going to look at the properties of isosceles trapezoid. Remember that an isosceles trapezoid has one set of parallel sides, and then the two other sides are congruent. So in this case, we know that these two sides, which we call the legs, are congruent, and then the two bases are parallel. So if we look carefully here, first of all, we know an isosceles trapezoid has base angles congruent. So if L is 85, then this is also 85. Also, we know in all trapezoids that the two consecutive angles between the bases, these two angles will be supplementary. So this angle right here would be found by doing 180 minus 85, which ends up being 95. So that angle is 95. This angle is also 95. So there's our four angles. Okay? So again, we know K and L are congruent base angles, so they're both 85. For L and M, we know they're consecutive interior angles, so therefore to find M, we would subtract 85 from 180 to get 95. And J and M will be congruent because they're base angles, so they're both 95. And for this one, we're going to look at the midsegment. The midsegment is a line that ends up being parallel to the two bases, where M is the midpoint of PS and N is the midpoint of QR. The formula in this case, we know MN is equal to 1/2 PQ plus SR. So in this case, we know the top is 12, and we know the bottom is 28. So it's going to be halfway in between those two, which should make sense that it's going to be the average of the top and the bottom here because it's in the middle. We get 1/2 of 40, which ends up being 20 inches. Okay? So again, we're using the theorem 8.17, which just talks to us about the midsegment. We plug everything in, and we solve. Okay? For this next one, it asks us if EG is equal to FH, is the trapezoid isosceles? And to explain, one of the properties of an isosceles trapezoid is that the diagonals are congruent. So since the diagonals are congruent, we can say that this is an isosceles trapezoid. Okay? Don't say theorem 8.16. Say yes because it's a trapezoid with congruent diagonals. Here's another one. It's telling us that, sorry, let me go back. It's telling us that angle HEF is 70, so this angle right here is 70, and FGH is 110. Well, if FGH is 110, then we know that these two angles, EFG and FGH, are consecutive interior angles. That means that this angle right here would be found by doing 180 minus 110. So this angle ends up being 70. So we have one set of base angles congruent. Using the same strategy here, we would say this is 180 minus 70 because these two angles are equal to 180. They're supplementary. So this becomes 110. Now we have base angles congruent on top and bottom. This is enough to prove the trapezoid is an isosceles trapezoid. So again, you don't want to state by any theorem, but you would state that the angle EFG is 70 and also that EHG is 110 because of consecutive interior angles, and therefore it's an isosceles trapezoid because the base angles are congruent. And for this one, we've got to draw a picture. So I'm going to draw J and M being right angles, and it's got to be a trapezoid. So it'll look something like that with a midsegment. And we've got J and M are right angles. So K is here, L is here, and NP is the midsegment where those two sides are equal and those two sides, or those two segments, are equal. We know that JK is 9 centimeters, and we know the midsegment is 12 centimeters in this case. We want to find ML, so we use the same strategy. We're going to write out the formula, which is that NP is equal to 1/2 the top, which is JK, plus the bottom, which is ML. And then we just plug in what we know. We know that mid-segment is 12. We know that JK is 9. Oops, sorry. So instead of JK, we're going to put 9. Whoops. And then ML is what we want to find. So remember to explain in words what we've done here. Again, we would write out the formula for mid-segment, and then we would plug in the values and solve for ML. So in this case, the best thing for us to do is multiply both sides by 2. We do that so that the half cancels out with the 2. We end up with 24 here. That's equal to 9 plus ML. Subtracting 9 from both sides, we end up with ML is equal to 15. So this length here is 15 centimeters. Okay? And I think that's it. Let's see. Sorry. Yes, there's 9, there's 12. The length of ML is 15. And again, explaining it would be solving this for X to find ML. And we're done. Thanks.